How you doing? My name's Daniel and you're watching the Rogue Clone Trooper channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a new Clone Trooper belt system which I picked up from Sanotized Creations. They're over in Germany. Dino, the guy who runs it, makes a lot of great accessories for Clone Troopers of Phase 1 and Phase 2 and even animated. He also helps build parts of suits. If you get in contact with him, he will help you with that as well. I'll leave a link to his Facebook page in the description box below, so do check him out. Okay, if you have any questions or queries, don't hesitate to contact him on his Facebook page, because he's really happy to get back to people and he's really helpful. So I'm going to bring you in now. I'm going to show you his belt. I'm also going to show you the difference between the Sanotized Creations belt to the DW Design belt, which I picked up there 2 years ago, and I've been wearing on my clone armor for over a year now. And yeah, well, I'll show you the difference. Okay, so here's the two belts side by side. So the top one here is my new belt from Sanotized Creations. It's a beautifully made belt. I'm going to go through all the parts in a second, and underneath is my, again, beautifully made and very detailed DW Design belt. And I'm going to tell you the difference between the two of them and why I'm going over to the Sanotized Creations one. Okay. First of all, I'm not too sure what he's made these boxes out of, but they are kind of a styrene plastic, which is really tough, really lightweight. There's a lot of flashing still on them, which means I need to clean them up. That can be easily done by a hobby knife, so I'm going to be doing that as well. He has done a beautiful job of giving you a lovely pin system here to join the belt together. Again, there's a lot of flashing which I need to clean up. The new belt itself is made from a kind of silicone rubber, which is very lightweight, and it comes in this, everything comes in this lovely creamy white color. It's not exactly white, so for me it works out great, because as you can see from my other belt, I've had to dirty it up to match my uniform, because my clone trooper is a dirty clone trooper who's been on the battlefields of Geonosis, and so having this already in a creamy white is going to be very easy for me to do. These pieces will need to be sanded and primed and repainted white to just make everything pop out, because you can see some type of air bubbles underneath, which there is no air bubbles in it, but it's just that you can see some parts of it are more transparent than others, which gives it that lovely lightweightness. So they're going to be easy to do up. Okay, now what I've been told, that just using super glue, CA glue, will actually stick all this together, which is freaking amazing. He does also give you the rib piece at the back, so when you adjust everything you can then stick that in yourself. He gives you the whole detonator system as well, which they did not do on the DW Design one, because this one again is from Sanotized Creations. I did do a video on this, so to go and check it out. Before I carry on, I just want to point out that Dino has actually done an amazing job of upgrading this as well. Okay, originally he was doing a molded tube, and he has actually took my advice and gone over and actually using industrial piping, which is the exact same. He's actually redesigned the end caps, so they are actually a little bit wider than his original ones, which look even better now, but they still have the great detail on them. Okay, as regards to his boxes, again, whoops, yeah, that's how light they are. The detail on these is amazing. We've got the vents down here, everything is perfect. Okay, amazing detail. Again, that's a bit of flashing that I'm going to have to cut off. Okay, as you can see, it looks like there's holes here. It's not. That is actually perfectly smooth, and when we prime this and paint it, you'll see that all that will disappear. Okay, boxes are absolutely amazing. Now I do want to point out, compared to the Sanotized Creation ones, compared to the DW Design ones, there is size differences in the boxes, which I'm quite happy to see. If these were exactly the same, I would start to get worried, but as things are not the same, I feel happy that these have been handmade. As you can see, the design is slightly different. Sizing again is slightly different. And that goes through all the stuff. Now, as I said, DW design stuff, I do have a video on this as well. The quality on this is absolutely freaking amazing, and you pay for it. But the only problem is it weighs a ton, because this is surgical silicone rubber, and nothing sticks to it. Paint cracks on it, so it's really hard to work with. And again, the weight is an issue, a big issue. Okay, where the new Sanotized creation one, this is all super light. Like, that weighs nothing. It's, can't even describe how it feels. It's just like, it's like the weight of it feels like the packing you find in boxes when you get like a TV or something. That type of weight to it. But this is solid. This is, I'm actually giving that full strength. That's not cracking. Okay, so these things are absolutely amazing. Okay. As regards to the belt itself, I'll take all this off. Again, there's a size difference in the dimensions of stuff, which I'm happy with as well. There's a little bit of flashing again, because remember, all this has been made in Dino's workshop, and he sent it out as it is. Dino basically quality controls his products as best he can, and to a very high standard, before he sends them out. But like any kits like this, there is cleanup to be done. There is sometimes some filling to be done on products. That's what's expected. Okay, but the quality that he's making is absolutely amazing. Without his help and his company, I probably wouldn't have been able to finish my armor to the quality that I did, because he's done amazing shoulder straps, elbow straps, knee straps, again out of silicone, and some people don't like them. I love them. It has given me the freedom to walk around without being pinched in certain places. The silicone straps on the shoulders of my armor, they're a godsend. That's all I can say. And the ones for my elbows and back of my legs as well. So I can't sing his praises high enough on the quality of stuff that he makes. And regards to all that, we're going to get into this build. We're going to get it together. We're going to start trimming it up, prepping it, and get it on my armor. Because the reason what's pushed me to do this is I bought this belt, I think before Christmas, from Dino. He had it up that he had a few left and was selling them off, so I got it from him. I really wanted it. I needed to replace my DW one because it was just too heavy. If anyone's been following my channel, you'll know that my armor is made out of fiberglass. It's heavy enough as it is, and having a belt that basically weighs about 3 pounds in weight, I'm not probably totally wrong with that, but it feels like 3 pounds of weight on my waist, dragging everything down. Having a very lightweight belt is going to make that super nice to wear. Also, the way Dino has done the belt, that it actually attaches in the front instead of the back, means then that I can put it on a lot easier and be able to fix it to my armor a lot easier as well. So there's still going to be a few bumps in the road on how I'm going to attach all this together and do it, but I'm hoping to bring you along this journey, show you what I'm doing, hope to help you guys out there who either have been looking for a new belt system or have bought a belt system and wondering how the hell am I going to attach this. Okay, so with no further ado, let's get into this build. So there you have it. I have basically spent the last while trimming out all the parts, cutting off the flashing of everything. Bit of advice I would give would be to take your time. Don't use a Dremel. I think Dremels might be a bit too aggressive on it, and you might destroy it. I don't think it's strong enough really to be Dremeled with a sander anyway. I just used a simple box cutter with a brand new blade in it and took my time, and I was able to then basically take away all the flashing around the sides, and I was even able to cut off little nubbins as well. So that's kind of nice and flush. It's nice. And everything's ready to be cleaned and primed. Now unfortunately my weather isn't. We're in rainy season at the moment here in Japan, and I'm having a tropical downpour at the moment, so we're gonna have to wait for another day to get outside onto my balcony. As you can see, this is my studio. This is where I built my clone armor, and that's when I'll be able to prime this in grey primer and then put some fresh paint on it and seal it. Yeah, something I have decided to do. Originally I was going to use the detonator from my old belt, but I realised then that Dino's one is a little bit longer than mine, and I think that will fit and look nicer on the back of my armour. So I'm going to do it up. I'm going to make the second detonator, and I have an idea of how I'm going to attach it without having problems. I'm going to make a little support for the back, which will be flat to go on the belt but curved to match the actual detonator itself. Oops, we'll talk about that another day. One thing I have noticed is that where the original stuff that I got from Dino a few years ago, for my detonator, he was using a I think type of resin basically, which was really hard, and I had problems painting it, to be honest with you, even though I put primer on it and I had sanded it and prepped it and everything else. And now he's using something a bit softer. It was easy to trim and to prepare. I really like this stuff now. I'm going to see how it paints up, but again I'll have to wash everything down, make sure there's no grease on it, and stuff like that, and scuff up the back. But there you go. So we'll get back to you now once the weather has cleared up and we can start painting. So as you can see at the moment, we're going through the stages of priming, filling, sanding, priming, filling, sanding. At the moment now we've had the first coat of primer and first coat of filler on it. I've just done some sanding and filled up a few more spots that need to be redone. There's going to be another round of primer, sanding, primer, sanding. And that's what we got to do. All finished and on my armor. I want to talk about how the build went. So the last thing you see me doing was doing the sanding and filling and sanding and filling. I didn't record anything else after that because the weather got really bad here and I couldn't find time to actually do the videoing and the right kind of atmosphere to do it in, because as soon as the rainy season finishes here in Japan, out come the cicadas. And if you don't know what a cicada is, it's a horrible little bug about this big and it makes a lot of noise. You can actually hear someone still in the background now, but at that time they were so noisy I couldn't film, because basically all you can hear was these insects all the time. They're quite noisy. But I want to talk about how the build went, okay, which is more important. As you see, I was doing sanding and filling. I did Tamiya grey primer undercoat on it, and then I used a Tamiya white paint on top of that again. Now Tamiya is designed to go on plastic and hobby stuff, and I thought this would be perfect for what I was using. It wasn't. What I found ended up happening was that anytime I bumped the pouches off anything or knocked them, that basically the paint would chip off, and I was having a dreadful time with the paint on the actual pouches of the belt. I was getting really annoyed with it because I was using a lot of pretty expensive spray paint designed to go onto plastic, and it wasn't going on. It just wasn't staying. It was just peeling off. It was just like, It wasn't basically adhering or sticking to whatever the pouches were made out of. And then I finally thought to myself, well, listen, I think I'm just overthinking this and trying to do this too professionally. So I ended up going back, sanding back as much as I could that would just flake off, and then going out and buying some basically cryo paint in white. And cryo paint, if anyone doesn't know, they do a different type of paint. They do some for plastics, they do some for garden furnitures, they do all types of stuff. And the one I picked up actually was for garden furnitures, which means it would stick on anything. And I thought this was the best thing for me to do. And literally, I just started laying down thin layers of paint on the pouches, and that worked. I didn't need to have gone into all the stuff that I was doing before, sanding, priming, and then putting on the top coats. The Tamiya paint didn't seem to work, and the cryo paint worked amazingly well. And that's how I've got the finish on it, what I have at the moment. And you've seen in the photographs. Some tips on putting the belt onto your armor. Okay, so this is the pouch here that I have attaching the belt together. Basically behind this I have a strip of Velcro that runs across that they connect together, and then to connect the box to the actual belt I have a press stud and Velcro system, which means a press stud and a Velcro together. Okay, and that seems to hold it. I was having a bit of difficulty having them actually stick, but eventually it has actually worked. Once you have marked out this one, do your boxes in that direction. Okay, if you want to know the spacing between the boxes, just look them up, Google them. You'll find a lot of information about what the distance is on the boxes. You'll find some blueprints out there which will actually give you the actual measurements between each box. Because once you measure around that side, then you can figure out where your detonators are going to go, and then you can start working on this way. Okay, but don't put the boxes on until you have measured the belt, cut it, and actually have it stuck to your armor or attached to your armor with the two front ammo pouches in place. They don't move. Okay, they stay in basically the same position that they always going to be, and they're designed to fit that way. But the other boxes then can be measured off that on either side. But put them on first. Make sure your belt fits. Otherwise, if you've already started putting on boxes and you need to cut down and cut down and cut down on this side, it's all going to be off. Okay, and these are just little problems that I had. Okay, CA glue works amazingly well to stick these boxes on. Actually, it's the best thing ever to stick them on. Basically, it bonds to the rubber belt that he has amazingly well. The belt is super light, super durable. But if you do pull on it and there's a little rip in the belt, it will just rip. But again, CA glue patched it up. Okay, so they're easy to fix. Like if you do suddenly realise, hang on a second, I need to cut off an extra little bit, you can just CA glue the two parts together again and maybe put a bit of webbing behind it just to reinforce it. Mine is attached by Velcro because I already had the Velcro in place for my last belt. So basically I've still used the same Velcro system around the back of the hip, and then it just kind of sits in the front. And so putting it on and off, I don't need to attach it. I don't need to unattach it from the back of my codpiece. That stays in place. And I just need to put the whole thing on and then put on the front piece of my codpiece and then wrap the belt around like a normal belt, which works amazingly well. And because this is super lightweight, it does not pull out of my system, and I find now that my armor fits me better because it doesn't have the weight pulling down on my hips, and actually I can move in it. When I had the DW design belt on, because it was so heavy, it was pulling my armor down, which means it was basically tightening up all the joints that would allow you to move. But now that I have this super light belt on it, I can actually kind of move my hips and rotate, which I wasn't able to do before because of the weight of the previous belt. Anything else? Once I had finished painting it in the basic white, I've done it basically a weathering on it to hide a lot of my mistakes, and also then to just make it blend into the rest of my armor. Because as you gather, my armor is a clone sergeant who's basically fighting on the Battle of Geonosis. Okay, so that's why he's weathered up, and he's got tan weathering on him to match the desert conditions of Geonosis. And I'm using basically shoe polish, liquid shoe polish, to make these designs. Of the weathering, I put basically a layer of brown shoe polish on it first, which then I can wipe away whatever I don't need. If it gets too clogged up in place, I just get a wet damp cloth, and that will wipe off a lot of the polish itself. And then I do the same with black, and then come back in and touch up with little bits of brown again. I had a video on this, do check it out. It's there in my playlist, okay, about how I weather up my stuff. And I find it where I keep the same system then for all the things I weather. That way everything matches up on it. But other than that, everything has worked out amazingly well. The trick I used on the back detonator was I've used some polynendo, which is a kind of crafting clay that turns into like a rubber, to make a square system or rectangular system that fits at the back of my detonator, to make it from basically a curved concave into a flat surface. And then I was able to then cut out part of the belt at the back to make this fit into that, and then just glued it all together, which means now that my detonator box is basically riveted from the back of the belt with 2 rivets going straight inside, with washers to stop the rivets from popping through the back of the belt. And because I've made this kind of barrier in between, my belt box fits perfectly now. So my detonator fits perfectly at the back. It doesn't have to try to connect one oval shape to a curved shape, if you know what I mean. I had that problem I had with my last belt because I didn't know really what I was doing, and since then seeing what other people have done. Other than that, it's an amazing belt. I suggest buying them, because this thing was, now that I know what I'm doing, the next time I'm building one, if I need to build one, it will go on a lot faster. I don't need to worry about a lot of stuff. There is a little bit of a learning curve in getting used to what you're doing with it. And for me, I'll be honest with you, I was scared to put this thing together because I knew if I made a mistake, I'd have to start all over again, buy a whole new set. I don't have the option of doing 3D printing and really 3D printing parts because I don't have a 3D printer. So I was taking my time, and it has come out. Let's take your time at it. Okay. Some of you might find it easier to do than others, but I do highly recommend it because it is a dream. The only thing I need to do now is I find that the front bit here sags a little bit, so I might put a bit of Velcro behind there just to attach that to the bottom cod piece, and that will be it. That will give it a bit more secureness on it as well. And that's it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry it hasn't gone into very much detail on it, but this wasn't an instruction video on how to put this together. It was just kind of an overview of what the belt is, how the belt works, and my view on the belt, basically. Which is the better belt, Sanotized Creations or DW Designed? To be honest with you, they're both amazing belts. Price wise, Sanotized Creations one is a little bit cheaper than the DW Design. Not only that, what I find in a Sanotized Creations belt is a lot lighter, and at the end of the day, pounds make ounces and ounces make pain, and having less pain and less weight is what you need in your armor. As you all know, this is fiberglass, my one is, which means it's pretty heavy as it is. Having a silicone heavy belt hanging off my waist was just not working for me. For other people out there who have wonderful lightweight ABS plastic armor, maybe this will work out better for you, the DW Design one, but for me, I just found it way too heavy. That's my only gripe on that belt. Otherwise, it was an amazing freaking beautiful belt. Sanotized Creation comes in second and beats it by a mile just by having the lightweightness of it. Okay, but pick the one that suits you. That's basically it. If you like to have a bit more say in where the pouches go and flexibility and fitting of it,
Sanotized Creations is where you want to go. If you want to have something that's already pre-made and you just have to worry about attaching it to your costume and painting it up, DW Design. Okay, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Please check out my other videos. If you want to become a Patreon of my page, please follow the links below and read the descriptions in the description box. If you want to, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. And as always, may the force be with you and stay safe.